like, let's not wait until they are old and ancient before we see that fight. And then we're so disappointed. We're like, why are we even watching this? Like, why are we even paying to see this? So
that's exactly, and that's like Mayweather Pacquiao. Like, that fight was horrible. I mean, it made a lot of money, and they made a lot of money, but like you said, they fought 5 years too late. And I don't know how what would have happened. I know some would have picked Mayweather 5 years ago, but Pacquiao 5 years ago, it would have been a much tougher fight for Mayweather. Pacquiao 5 years ago. I mean, they both were old, and Mayweather had already surpassed Pacquiao by then. So don't wait. Yeah, that's a good point. The trainer or the promoters, Fury or Wilder and Joshua. I don't know if we're going to see that. I really don't. I really can't call it now with Joshua losing. I don't know. Wilder even said himself, "See, this is what happens. We should fight when we can, when we're undefeated." And I think it'd still be a big fight, but now it loses a lot of spark now that Joshua's got that one loss. So we'll see if they can fight next year and maybe in 2 years.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely interesting how, and we'll see how any of these fights are going to go. We want to see them, but are we actually going to see them is always the final question. So I wanted to talk about your Eagles. It's in the off season, and with these Eagles, the moves that they've made, training camp coming up next week. Let me know and let the listeners know how you feeling about the Eagles. And they signed Darren Sproles to a one-year contract. I'm sure you already
Yeah. Yep. I saw that. I saw the Darren Sproles signing. I thought he was retiring, but I guess they said, you know what, we'll do like this last tour with you, see if they could win another Super Bowl with Darren Sproles. I mean, I love Darren Sproles. I love what he brings, what he has brought for his career. I'm not super excited about the signing with Darren Sproles because, he's been hurt the last couple of years. So, but when he plays, he produces. I mean, he's a guy that just continues to produce. But I think now it's almost going to be like Antonio Gates when he came back last year. It's almost like, okay, we still owe this to him. Let's see what he can bring. And Antonio Gates didn't really do much last year for the Chargers. So, we'll see what Sproles. I mean, he's still a weapon. He's still a great punt returner. He's probably going to be the third down back, the third running back. So, but we'll see what happens with Sproles. But overall, I'm excited. I'm real excited about this coming season for the Eagles. They look healthy. They look ready. It's all on Carson Wentz, I think, for the offense, because the offense got the pieces now. They've given him a lot of weapons, getting Deshaun Jackson. The running game looks solid, but now Wentz is going to be playing without his brace. He looked good earlier in camp, but we'll see when the pads come on. But it's all about Wentz. He got his contract, got married, no Nick Foles now behind him. So to me, the season hinges on Wentz's health and those defensive backs. I think those are two main components for the Eagles if they want to go far. But they got the talent, so on both sides of the ball. So I think they should have a really good year.
Yeah, and it is depending on Wentz. Now, you don't have to look over your shoulder. Nick Foles isn't there. You really shouldn't have been. Albie wasn't, but he really shouldn't have been looking over his shoulder anyway, because you're the franchise. They weren't going to pick Nick Foles over you. That doesn't even make smart business sense anyway. You draft a guy in the first round as high as he was drafted. That's supposed to be your guy. So it's all up to him. There is pressure on him. The defense, though, too. I think there's pressure on that defense. And the Eagles, last offseason, they got better with the pickups that they had. You got training camp coming up, but also you're going to have cap casualties. You're going to have those guys that are going to fall to the wayside. They fall out of favor of the team, or they got older, or whatever it may be. And I think the Eagles may potentially still add some more people. But you still got Alshon Jeffrey. You added Deshaun Watson, Aguilar, this Jordan Howard. So, you added some people And the defense, Fletcher Cox in the middle, you know that's going to be forced to be working with. And Cowboys and Eagles, it's going to be good this year. It's good every year, but it's going to be good this year, especially with the way their seasons, both of their seasons ended last year. They want to redeem themselves. They want to do better than last year. So
yeah, they both lost in the second round last year in the playoffs. So and I think for the Eagles, besides Wentz, because I think now it's time. You got your contract, and it's time. I love Wentz, so it all depends on. He's such a talent. All depends on his availability to succeed. And I think we're Dallas and the Eagles are the top two teams in the NFC East. Giants and the Redskins, they're gonna be terrible. I know some Giant fans in the chat room, but yeah, they're gonna be horrible. But I think for the Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they had a running game. Now they loaded up on the running backs. Jordan Howard, they got Miles Sanders from Penn State, bring some speed. Just resign Sproles. I like Corey Clement. Still got Smallwood. I don't know how many running backs they're gonna bring, but when they won the Super Bowl, they were third in rushing that year, and they ran by committee. Jay Ajayi, and they had Blunt, so they was a battling ram running the ball, and that protected Wentz for the most of the season until Wentz gets in there, and Wentz thinks sometimes he's such a good talent. He thinks he can be Aaron Rodgers sometimes. I can win by myself. He doesn't have to do that now. It's just run the football. Throw to those weapons you have, and can't forget about Zach Ertz. I mean, this guy is a monster at tight end. I mean, this guy caught over 110 balls last year, so he was Wentz's favorite weapon. He became Nick Foles' favorite weapon. So the Eagles, like I said, they have the talent. So I'm very optimistic that they should go far, but it's just all about the health.
Yeah, that's true. We got Courtney Harden up on the line. One other question before I let you go. You have Dana White coming out and saying that Conor could return in 2019. He won't fight Jorge Masvidal or the lightweight champ. He talked about retiring. Now, which like I've said this before, retiring is just a way of saying I want to take a break or I'm under fire, so I don't want to be in the limelight in this moment. But what's your thoughts on Conor? You see him coming back this year. We'll have more than halfway through the year. So you think we'll see Conor fight in the octagon?
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be this year. Conor McGregor, I mean, I'm sure he's keeping himself in good shape. I mean, he looked terrible his last fight against Khabib. I mean, Khabib took it right to him, and I mean, it was no matchup for him, and I think now that McGregor has lost, and if you count the Floyd fight, lost those last two fights, it looked pretty bad. He's still a big money draw, so it goes back to what we were talking about with those big names in boxing, like Pacquiao just getting older. Conor McGregor, I mean, does he even want to be there anymore? Does he need the money? I mean, he made a lot of money in that Floyd fight. I think he made over $50 million or so. So I don't think he needs the money. It's just now, is his skill still the same, or has he become predictable? But he's such a wild card, and with Dana White saying that, I don't think he's going to fight any of the top guys. If Conor goes into his office, that's just a publicity. Conor goes into his office and say, you know what, I want to fight this guy. I want to fight this guy. Dana White's gonna be on that phone calling the opponent saying, "We got this. We got a main event. Conor McGregor's gonna end up fighting somehow, somewhere." If he does come back, I think it wouldn't be until next year. I don't know if it's gonna be this year, and who knows who's gonna fight? Is it gonna be Masvidal? Is it gonna be Cowboy Cerrone, Ferguson? I mean, there's a lot of people that he could end up fighting, but. He's a draw. I think now it's just more, just his name is just being thrown out there. Dana White's just throwing stuff out there just to see if anybody would fight. But I definitely believe he still will fight, but I think it'll be next year.
Yeah. And I think so too, because you can't just roll the guy out there either. I know he, like you said, he's probably keeping himself in good shape and all that, but you may need a warm up fight, or you may need to fight somebody at a lesser grade before he starts just immediately coming back. But it's Conor McGregor. He's if he fights in the UFC, he's gonna bring fans, he's gonna bring people, and it's gonna be a big matchup because of just his name. So we'll see what happens, if something happens this year or next year. But man, Courtney Harden, glad to get you on the show. We'll be working together closely to get you back on before football season, so we'll make sure we make that happen. And I appreciate all your support. Appreciate all your support of the show and being willing to come on, and much love.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you as well. Like I said, we'll definitely get together, and I'm always here to support anytime you need me on the show, or just even in the chat room, whatever you need, man. I got you, and definitely can't wait to definitely get my show back. I was just talking to one of our good friends, another podcaster, Damian Adams. Just talking with him, and I said, I'm ready to get back into this podcast game. I said, it's good to see all of us just coming together, bringing each other on each show, and just doing it. So, much love to you and everything else, and everything else you do.
Yeah, no problem. So, have a good rest of your day. We got Pacquiao, Thurman later. We'll probably be messaging each other, talking about that fight later on tonight. So, have a good one.
All right, man. You too. Thanks a lot.
Yep, no problem. All right, my man Courtney Harden. The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. This podcast will be coming back very soon so that you guys can check that out. Shout out to the greatest from South Central, man. Has been blazing shows all week. XWAD Radio, you can find the shows. Appreciate you for coming through. Man, appreciate everybody. I believe it was a great show. Great guests. Go back and listen to it if you missed it. Coming up, like I said, later, we have End of the Bench with H-Rap B. Tomorrow on the network, we have Fish and Grits at 11 Central, Tiger Park at 2 Central, and we may have The Greatest Show, possibly. Put that in the chat room if you may be going live sometime tomorrow. I'm going to end the show with a song by St. Jones. Interviewed him on the show. This is the intro of TP4 as we end the show. Also, Kevin Gray, Clutch Talk Sports, Clutch Conversations, will be on 105.3 The Fan at 3:40 to 4:15. You can listen on the radio app. You can go to 1053thefan.com. Do it. Listen. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you to listen to our brother, your brother, Kevin Gray. Praying for you. I know that everything will go well, but I'm definitely praying for you. 3:40 to 4:15 Central. That'll be 4:40 to 5:15 Eastern. West Coast people, 1:40 to 2:15 Pacific time. Also, shout out to Ced Galloway. He was in the chat room, jumped in. But let's go, Kevin Gray. Got this, bro. So, TP4, the intro. Have a good rest of your day. God bless. God is love. I'll be back on Monday with the weekend wrap-up show, talking about the fight, talking about some other topics. So, have a good rest of your day, and I'm out. Peace. Also, Jeff Fox coming up next, 2 p.m. coming up next.
I know it's been a minute. I had to seek the Lord.